What if the truth wasn't uncovered, but already known? What if long before the headlines exploded, before the investigations began, before a single charge was filed, one woman was holding everything in her hands, every secret, every name, every piece of evidence, and staying silent? And then, the very instant she tried to speak, the very second she reached for the light, she was gone?
So disgusting.
And that's the part no one wants to say out loud, because that's exactly what happened to Wendy Williams.
Pregnancy is a way of keeping Jay-Z's alleged mistress away. Beyonce is going to use a surrogate so she can maintain her body, but they're going to play it off like it's allegedly,
She spoke it live on television in plain sight, yet no one stepped forward to defend her.
I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
But here's the piece no one seems to be putting together, and once you notice it, it won't fade from your mind. The internet has been spiraling over names allegedly surfacing in the Epstein files, with speculation spreading faster than the facts. Yet beneath all the noise, there's a rumor that keeps resurfacing in certain online spaces, a story involving a child, an island, and claims that people say tie back to everything Wendy Williams has been hinting at for years. Stay with me, because this trail goes further than it first appears. Before we talk about what everyone online is obsessing over, we have to acknowledge something. The person who started tugging at this thread long before it became a trend was Wendy Williams. Some people may view her differently depending on the era, but one thing can't be ignored: she claimed to have insider connections, industry contacts, conversations that supposedly came with receipts. And she was willing to raise those points on national television when others wouldn't even whisper them off camera. Now, let's rewind to 2011, the moment that sent shockwaves through pop culture. Beyoncé appeared at the Video Music Awards glowing under the lights, announcing her pregnancy to the world. The audience erupted. It felt iconic, a defining moment. But then, according to viewers who replayed it frame by frame, something unusual happened. And in the era of instant replays and social media scrutiny, that moment spread everywhere. Shortly after, the narrative shifted into overdrive. New images appeared rapidly, almost as if to quiet the conversation. The rollout felt fast, strategic, controlled. Yet instead of ending speculation, it only intensified it for those already questioning the timeline. And among the voices raising doubts was Wendy, who didn't hesitate to question the story publicly, keeping the debate alive in a way few others dared. From that point forward, every rumor, every resurfaced clip, every online theory seemed to circle back to the same larger question: how do all these threads connect, and why does this particular story refuse to disappear no matter how many years pass?
Pregnancy is a way of keeping Jay-Z's alleged mistress away. Beyonce is going to use a surrogate so she can maintain her body, but they're going to play it off like it's allegedly, like they gave birth.
What made this moment so intense wasn't just the words Wendy chose, it was the direction she took them next. Because she didn't stop at discussing a surrogacy theory. She introduced a specific name, one that, at that time, the mainstream conversation seemed reluctant to even acknowledge: Kathy White. For people unfamiliar with the online chatter, Kathy White was linked in public speculation to Jay-Z, and her sudden death became the center of ongoing debate across forums and comment sections. The official explanation pointed to a brain aneurysm, sudden, unexpected, final. But outside of formal reports, the circumstances quickly became part of a theory that refused to fade. Wendy, who had spent years inside the entertainment world and understood how narratives spread, addressed the topic on her show and echoed what many viewers claimed they were already discussing in private. The theory circulating publicly and again, never proven, suggested that Kathy White was not only connected to Jay-Z, but was also allegedly tied to rumors surrounding the pregnancy and the birth of Blue Ivy. In that version of events, she was portrayed as someone who may have played a surrogate role, according to the speculation being repeated online. And once that alleged role was complete, the theory claimed she disappeared from the storyline entirely. It was controversial, heavily debated, and never confirmed, yet powerful enough to ignite conversations that continued long after the episode aired.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died of an imaginary fucking aneurysm. Just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list.
Wendy was describing wasn't subtle at all. She talked about women who got too close to powerful circles, who allegedly knew too much, carried too much, and then seemed to vanish or die at moments that felt disturbingly convenient. In her view, She was one of the few willing to say it publicly, and that boldness is exactly why many believe pressure eventually forced Wendy Williams into silence. Then everything shifted. Fast forward to the present, and the moment that reignited the fire was when the United States Department of Justice began releasing the Epstein documents in waves. With every new batch, the speculation intensified, and the names attached to the discussions grew bigger. The focus quickly turned to Jay-Z after reports surfaced from an anonymous accuser who told the Federal Bureau of Investigation that she allegedly woke up in a room where he was present during an assault involving Harvey Weinstein. The claim alone was explosive.
Why is nobody understanding that Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter? They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert Kelly. How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert?
They don't stand alone. They sit inside a network, a chain of associations, alliances, and shared spaces. Jay-Z and Sean Combs. Jay-Z and R. Kelly. Jay-Z and Jeffrey Epstein. And every time a new link is mentioned, the internet circles back to the same burning question. Where was Beyoncé in the middle of all this? Was she truly just on the sidelines, unaware of everything happening around her, or was she part of a much larger system operating behind the scenes? Because that word matters, system. This wasn't framed by commentators as simply rich people attending events or hosting gatherings. Those who believed something deeper was at play described it as something far more structured, a tightly connected environment where influence, access, and protection overlapped in ways that felt intentional rather than random.
That is becoming more and more clear is that we aren't just looking at a bunch of wealthy creeps operating with total impunity. We are looking at a massive criminal network that may be responsible for the of hundreds of...
That's how big people thought this was becoming. In the middle of the wider conversations, the mentions of Jay-Z, Sean Combs, and R. Kelly, the focus kept circling back to Beyoncé. Online theories placed her at the center of the discussion, not on the sidelines. As materials linked to Jeffrey Epstein fueled more debate, people began re-examining her music. Songs like 16 Carriages were analyzed in a new light, with some users claiming connections to personal events discussed publicly. It wasn't proof, just speculation, but once suspicion spreads, every lyric starts to feel like a clue. And because Beyoncé's artistry often includes symbolism and layered visuals, fans found plenty to interpret and debate.
It's potentially a murder confession about Jay-Z's mistress.
If someone online believed that Kathy White was connected to the birth rumors surrounding Blue Ivy Carter, then suddenly a song like Daughter takes on a heavier meaning in the minds of those viewers. Not because it proves anything, but because context changes perception. Online theorists try to connect these ideas to past events, including the controversy surrounding Kathy White and the later silence of public figures like Wendy Williams. They interpret these timelines as patterns. But patterns in storytelling are not proof. They're narratives people construct when searching for meaning in complex situations. In the end, these discussions reflect how quickly speculation can grow when trust is already fragile. Online communities can turn rumors into storylines, even when mainstream sources do not support them. And that gap between headline and hashtag is often where the loudest theories live.
What was these people supposed to go to? You can't go to the boss because the boss is f***ing you. And the boss's boss don't get no... Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought.
That monologue hits differently when people apply it to this rumor. Because in that narrative, the question becomes, where do you turn when the person you're accusing is surrounded by influence? Who do you call when every door seems connected? Some say law enforcement. Some say the courts. But online theorists argue that power can make even those paths feel complicated. In these discussions, people point to Jay-Z and claim he had access to top-tier legal teams and industry partnerships. They argue that his business network, including Roc Nation, gave him influence across media and culture. According to some social media users, posts pushing certain narratives were removed or flagged, though there is no verified evidence that this was coordinated. At the same time, attention often shifts back to Wendy Williams, the person many online commentators believe spoke openly about industry rumors years ago. Supporters say she had strong connections and wasn't afraid to discuss controversial topics on television. Later, when her health declined and legal arrangements placed others in control of her affairs, some observers questioned the timing. Officially, her guardianship and medical details were handled through legal channels, but online communities interpreted the situation as suspicious. The conversation usually centers on sequence and timing. Wendy became more vocal in public discussions, then stepped away from the spotlight. Her show ended. Her health struggles became public. And legal decisions were made regarding her care and finances. For some people online, those events feel connected. For others, they are separate issues that coincidentally occurred around the same period. In the end, this is where speculation grows, in the space between perception and proof. When trust is low, timelines start to look like patterns. And once a pattern forms in people's minds, it can feel impossible to unsee, even without confirmed evidence to support it.
Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the winter time of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there, and he rented this house, and we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play, and after the game, it had to be like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults, which I can respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild, like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look or isn't this? And
the internet doesn't buy the silence. In their view, asking questions isn't extreme, it's logical, especially in an industry shaped by power and influence. Supporters believe Wendy Williams hinted at uncomfortable topics long before major headlines broke, including conversations around figures like Sean Combs. Discussions about connections to Jeffrey Epstein largely come from public records combined with online speculation. Claims about additional links remain unverified internet theories, not confirmed facts. Some also reference former associates such as Larry Johnson, interpreting his past comments about industry power as supporting their narrative. But these readings are opinions, not proven evidence. Once a story gains momentum online, every statement starts to feel like a clue, even when it isn't.
On planes, while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane. Unconscious.
Larry Johnson has said he didn't fully process everything at the time and later reflected on what he experienced, but those comments are his personal account, not EdFacts. Then Jaguar Wright made public allegations on Piers Morgan's show, including claims involving Beyonce and Aaliyah. Those statements were controversial and widely disputed, and they remain unverified allegations.
Drip myself in blood and cover myself in swimming goop, in black goop, and can like wear devil horns to can sell a record. Fuck that.
Now, regarding Aaliyah, people online have tried connecting dots for years. One recurring theory suggests that Jay-Z pursued her romantically, a claim that was discussed in interviews, including comments attributed to Dame Dash, who acknowledged there were attempts at a relationship and that she reportedly wasn't interested. After her tragic plane crash in 2001, speculation began spreading, especially online, about circumstances surrounding the flight, but official investigations attributed the crash to documented safety and weight issues, not foul play. Some internet narratives argue that Beyonce later rose to greater prominence in the industry, framing it as a replacement storyline, though that interpretation is opinion, not evidence. More recently, MI made controversial statements in interviews about her experiences in the industry, including claims involving Roc Nation. Those remarks generated debate online, but they remain personal allegations and have not been proven in court or confirmed by independent investigations.
For years, I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to.
Williams has spoken in interviews about watching high-profile Hollywood figures attend private gatherings and later return looking visibly different, describing what he saw in his own words. Those comments reflect his personal experiences and opinions, not verified evidence of criminal activity. At the same time, anonymous, blind items began spreading online with dramatic claims involving Beyonce, as well as references to Tina Knowles and Jay-Z. Blind items are unverified gossip formats, and none of these allegations have been substantiated by credible investigations or confirmed reports. Online communities often amplify these posts, turning speculation into full narratives, even when there is no verified evidence behind the claims.
The reason why they're already living separate lives and we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z's up next to be exposed. And it's only so much of these stories that Jay-Z can, he can pay off or he can block. he won't be able to stop this. And she knows it, and he knows it too.
Some online commentators, including figures like Storm Monroe, have speculated about potential relationship changes, framing them as strategic rather than emotional. In that narrative, the idea is that image control plays a major role in high-profile partnerships, especially for someone like Beyoncé, who has built her career around precision and branding. However, these claims remain speculation. The internet then layers in additional rumors, including discussions about alleged Ray Carter theories, but there is no verified evidence supporting those stories. Online, though, people argue that even if a divorce happened, it wouldn't automatically remove someone from public scrutiny. It would simply change the way they're perceived. Meanwhile, 50 Cent has publicly criticized and mocked various industry figures over time, and some viewers interpret his recent posts as signaling more exposure to come. That interpretation, however, is driven by social media speculation. Public commentator D.L. Hughley recently said that what someone chooses to stand for reflects their values. Supporters often point to Beyoncé's public advocacy on social issues over the years, while critics argue about her silence regarding certain controversies. Whether that silence means strategy, privacy, or simply no involvement is debated. There is no confirmed evidence tying her to the allegations circulating online.